Hello and welcome to Thursday Night Live. I'm your host, Dr. Rita Louise, and thank you all for tuning into this show tonight. It's going to be an interesting topic that I'm going to speak on, and the topic is emotional surrender. So when we think about the concept of surrendering, my first impression is this battle going on in the field with people with muskets shooting at each other and cannons and going up to the top of the hill and fighting this epic battle. And after a period of time, one side figures out that they're outnumbered or they cannot overcome the objective of the battle, and overwhelmed, they give up in defeat and wave the white flag to end the conflict. But that's not what it is a little bit what emotional surrender is about, but there's a different little twist. And so I'm going to talk about emotional surrender in particular in relationships as the example. And so there are many of us, probably all of us, that have been in a relationship with someone where things aren't going really good, and you try and you try and you try to make things work, to appease the other person, to turn the other cheek, to talk about things with the hope that things will get better, that things will turn different. And it's like, even though you're not fighting with weapons, you are fighting yourself on this internal battlefield where you just don't want to give up. You don't want to wave the white flag of surrender to this other person because you've invested so much time and energy into the whole situation. But when we're talking about emotional surrender, it's really not about failure or defeat. It really is about making a decision to just let the situation go, to have whatever is going on, this bad thing that is going on in your life, just come to an end. When we give up, we come to the realization that we can't change or manage the situation anymore. We might be living in overwhelm for a long time, and we give up and we let go of the fact or the hope that something can be different, that something can be better. And if I give it a little more time, or if I put in a little bit more effort, that it will change. But as we were talking about last week, that's a form of false hope, that you're hoping that it will change. And when you come to the realization, the sometimes hard realization that it's not going to change, really the only thing that you can do is accept that it's not going to change, and then let it go, and then just surrender yourself to the situation. Because the reality is that you did all you could, and you tried as hard as you could, but it didn't do anything. It didn't change anything. So imagine this. Sorry. Oh, and I got a piece of paper. Okay, so imagine this. You're working on a project. You have this goal, but you just keep hitting these obstacles. And the image I keep getting in my head is you keep banging your head into this wall, trying to get through this door to the other side, so that it can be better, so that you can start moving forward with your life, with the situation, with that person, to take it to the next level. But you can't, because it's not moving, it's not shifting, it's not doing anything. It's just you applying all of this effort, and the only response you're getting is a sore noggin from banging your head into that wall. But when you surrender, when you say, okay, I'm tired of banging my head into this wall, and let it go, a lot of the times you can take a step back. And what you might notice is that there's a door over there. Might not be this door that you're trying to get through, that obviously is a brick wall, but there might be a door over there that's going to take you to a different place or a different opportunity in your life. And it gives you the chance to start having forward movement again in your life, where before you were just stuck in this pattern of repetition, 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 and really not getting anywhere. I've had a number of clients who have come to me, and they have, they have serious health concerns. They have mobility issues, they have some chronic condition where life is not the same for them anymore. And they come with this hope that I can somehow say, here, take this supplement and everything's going to be better. Or if I do some energy work on them, everything is going to be better. But sometimes those situations are, that's where you're at. And what I usually counsel them in is, maybe what you need to do is surrender to it and say, okay, this is where I am today, and own the fact that it's really hard for me to get up and walk across the room. That's my reality. Because when you start from that place of the reality of what's going on with yourself and in your life, you might sit there and do some supplements or do some exercises or whatever it is that you might incorporate into your routine. And you find that you can, after a while, get up and move across the room a little bit better, and you can gauge the small changes, the small positive changes that are going on in your life, versus always looking at it from a place of, I don't have it, and I'm never going to have it, and my life is never going to be the same again. On Facebook recently, I saw a post about this guy who I guess had polio when he was a kid, and literally lived in an iron lung his entire life. And all right, and I'm like totally kind of making this up, but he learned to do stuff like with his mouth in this iron lung, and like wrote books and got a law degree. He did and achieved all of this stuff. But I'm assuming that internally he accepted the fact and surrendered to the fact that this was his life and there wasn't much opportunity for him to change that. And so he just moved forward. He moved through a different door, and look at all of the things that he achieved. It's kind of mind-blowing. So when we surrender, it opens the door for us to create transformation in our lives. But a lot of times we're afraid of letting go of the old, and not knowing what these changes are going to be or what life is going to look like on the other side. And so it can often leave us stuck in that situation. And sometimes we hang on so long that, in addition to being hard to let go, we just don't know what to do. We just don't know. But sometimes those are the points where the most miraculous transformations can happen. Because if you're not afraid, and if you allow yourself to surrender to this is where it's at, then there's not an expectation of this is where I should be, and you can open the door for miracles to happen to you. So are you feeling stuck in your life? Is there something that you need to accept, that this is where you are versus this is where I should be? Then maybe it's time that you surrender to the situation and open yourself up to the possibilities of a new tomorrow. Okay. Okay. So, and if there's issues going on in your life where you're having challenges letting go, or you're hitting this fear, or you're not sure if it's something that you should let go of, or if you should keep working on and moving forward in that situation, give me a call, drop me a note, go to soulhealer.com and drop me a line, and we can set up a time for a private consultation. In addition to all the other things that I can help you with. But if making the decision or figuring out if you should be surrendering to what's going on in your life, I can help you sort through that. I would love to. Okay. And then Thursday Night Live is brought to you by the Institute of Applied Energetics, where you can learn to become a medical intuitive counselor, or certified energy medicine practitioner, all from the comfort of your home. You can go to my website, appliedenergeticsinstitute.com, and download my free Jumpstart Your Intuition guide that's loaded with information, and there's exercises for you to start tapping into your intuitive abilities. And finally, I have two things. If you're listening to the show in a recorded format on YouTube or Rumble or BitChute or X or wherever you might be catching it, and you want to join the live fun, the best and easiest way is to go to my YouTube channel, and that's Just Energy Radio on YouTube. That's 3 words, Just Energy Radio on YouTube, every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Central, and we would love to see you here. And then, okay, so this is not promotional thing, but I am going to be starting doing a bunch of YouTube videos kind of similar to this, but in a more frequent fashion, as well as doing a bunch of video shorts. And so I've been reaching out to people to see if they have any input of topics that they would be interested in me covering. And so if you're on Facebook, drop me a note. If you're on YouTube, put it in the comment section, not in the chat for tonight, because I will never see that. I would love your input, and you just never know what I'll come up with. You just never know. Okay. And as always, I would really love it if you would connect with me on social media. You can like or subscribe to my different accounts, YouTube, Substack, Twitter, and Rumble. And I would really appreciate the additional followings. And, please do share this show with your friends who might be able to use some insight and guidance that I can provide them. Okay. With all that said, oops, I gotta get